So, about Linux, I'm not going to start making Linux videos, and I'm not going to be that guy out here telling you that you should switch to Linux because there's quite honestly too many channels doing that. And between showing you that you should be on this distro or that distro, and it's 99% of the time the wrong fucking distro, especially if you're brand new. And I'm not going to tell you to switch to Linux because the first thing you're going to do is run into an issue. And the second thing you're going to do is reach out to me and go, hey, I ran into this issue on this distro that you just told me in this video to install for gaming because it's awesome. And I ran into this issue, and I'm not going to play IT guy. I ain't going to do that. And I feel like my experience has been pretty damn smooth, but I still feel like I had issues. I mean, there was times I reached out to people and, I've gotten it from them the same way I would give it. They're not going to bend over backwards to help you out, and that's what a big part of that nobody fucking tells you is that when you switch to Linux, it's not a, reach out to any one of these YouTube guys that are showing you fucking what to do and tell them your problem. They're not going to help you. You got to learn to figure your own shit out and Google search your own shit. Because when you ask them, they're going to tell you to fuck off and eat a dick. And that's the other thing is I found that even the creators that seem really nice surface level, you try to, outside of just the, watching the video, you try to interact with them and they're fucking dicks. Most of them. And I don't want to be associated with that either, so I'm not going to do that, and I mean, everybody has to have their own reason, because if somebody would have told me, hey, you should switch to Linux, try Linux. Linux is cool. You should do Linux. That would just push me farther and farther away. Like that's one of the first lessons you learn as a kid. The reason that I came to Linux is because I heard people talking about that they didn't like it and they couldn't do it because it was hard and they couldn't get it to work. And the first thing that all you got to do is tell me that you can't make something work. If I think I can make it work, I'm on that like flies on shit, dude. I get no greater satisfaction out of life than the feeling that I get from doing something that I feel or somebody else feels they can't do or can't do as well. So that's what drew me to switch from Windows to Linux. I dabbled with it here and there a couple times through the 2000s. Everybody installed Ubuntu, and you remember the Compass videos that were on YouTube and the Windows effects and the globes and all the shit. And, there's still some of it, like the wobbly windows, the shit like that, it still exists, but that's the thing I remembered. And, it's things like that keep me from going back to Windows. I still run into things that, I can't say that I run into anything anymore that I can't do, but I do certainly run into things that take me a little bit more fucking dicking around than I would like to have to do to get them to work or work the way that I want them to work. But the minute that I go back to Windows and I can't have the icons the way that I want, and I can't move the open and close window or box to the left side of the window, instead of the right side like I want. It's you can make whatever you choose for Linux. You can make it whatever you want it to be. There's dozens of different window managers. There's at least a dozen that are well maintained enough that any one of them is a complete suite, whatever you need, you know what I mean? Basic stuff. You know, but I mean, a lot of it is self-taught, you know. I mean, a big issue for me when I first got comfortable and I could get all the things that I wanted, you know, I could get my OBS to work and I could get my games to work. One of the things that I always saw in everybody's video, they would open their terminal and they would have, you know, whatever they had for their fetch, you know, they'd have the colors wouldn't be just the plain ass blocks that show up when you do it, you know, when it's original. And I asked on, I dare say, 6 different creators' videos, how do you do this? How do you do this? I got answers from, I didn't do it, it's just the way it is. And I'll tell you, I've installed every fucking distro that you can get right now. Nothing comes with it customized like this. Nothing. So anybody that tells you that is fucking lying. Which is fine. You don't want to be the IT guy. Well, the truth of the matter is all you need is a link to one fucking page, one web page that shows you or links to a whole bunch of different, you know, 20, 30 different people's configurations. And you spend 5 minutes looking at their configurations, and then within a couple of minutes, you can understand how that code in NeoFetch works and how to write it and how to change it and what to do and where to put things. And you can make this whatever the fuck you want in a matter of 10 minutes. And all any one of those creators had to do was link me to the fucking page that you know is how they figured it out. None of them did it. And I don't want to be a part of that community. You know, I've been making Fallout videos and part of the Fallout community forever. And I mean, you comment on a Fallout video on a creator where you've been a dick to him and dogged him on you know, sometime he was wrong or something in a video, and he still will comment on your video to answer the question that you have. It's a totally different community. Like, there's been no warm welcome in the Linux community. None whatsoever. Everything that I've learned here, everything from day one to now, it's been self-taught. You know, for example, you know, 2 pain points that are still pain points for me is Flatpaks and fucking Wayland. And, you know, and then, you know, the big issue is for OBS, there's keyboard shortcuts. Like, I can bring up my end thing with a keyboard shortcut, right? Or I could take it away with a keyboard shortcut. On Wayland, it doesn't fucking work. On Flatpak, it doesn't fucking work. I've had dozens of creators say, well, you can use this to make it work. Nobody shows you how to fucking make it work. You know how it works? On X11. And you know, every creator's out here stroking their dick about, oh, Wayland's the way to go. Wayland's going to be awesome. You got to be on Wayland. Wayland's the only way to game. Well, what I can tell you is my games run exactly the same no matter whether I'm on X11 or Wayland. And when I'm on X11, all the things that I expect to work a certain way, work a certain way. Okay? When something is, I mean, I'm telling you that a lot of fucking people use OBS. A fucking lot of people. You cannot tell me that not at least a decent percentage of those people that use OBS don't use keyboard shortcuts. Like, nobody's pulling up their OBS window to hit stop recording when they're done, or change their fucking scene, or you know what I mean? People don't, it's not how it works. So until simple shit that is needed for almost everybody, until that kind of simple shit works, it's not going to be ready. Wayland is not ready. Wayland is not ready. Don't recommend Wayland to people, especially not new people, because they're going to install Steam and they're going to install a game. And then because they got Steam on a fucking Flatpak, and shit's not going to be where they need it to be when they go to try to put in their modified ini file for a Bethesda game or something, and the shit's not going to be there. You know, when they got the Flatpak version of OBS and they try to put in their application audio capture plugin, it's not going to be where it is. And it's a pain in the fucking ass to figure out how to do it on Flatpak. You know, nobody's out here telling you the shit that's actually a pain point when you pick Linux up. They're just showing you the cool, shiny wrapper, which is great. It's awesome. Okay? Yeah, it's cool. You can wiggle your windows around. Oh, what the fuck is that? You can wiggle your windows around and shit. You know, that's really cool, you know? Like, I love these effects and shit, okay? And, you know, that's great. But that's, you know, until you push your way through some rough shit, that's not going to be enough to keep the boat floating for you. You know, you're going to have some shit to figure out. You know, if you're a person that uses things like Adobe and stuff like that, you're going to have fucking issues because you're going to, you know, people are going to say, oh, use GIMP. Dude, I wouldn't tell anybody at all to use GIMP. And I don't even use Adobe. But it's just, you know, some things there's not really a replacement for. Yes, it's very narrow. You know, you know, if you're, you know, your main thing is competitive multiplayer games that use kernel level anti-cheat or whatever, it's not going to work. You're not going to, the things that you do won't work on Linux. You know, so I don't know if I can recommend it. I mean, I think it's great. And I think a lot more people that use it than use it now. I don't think it would benefit from everybody using it. I think at that point it would just become the next Windows or the next Mac OS. But I think certainly that there's a lot of people that should or would be happier on it, but they're not confident to take the step. And I mean, it's not hard really. You just have to be willing to put the effort in and figure it out yourself. You know, you can't come into this expecting that somebody's going to hold your hand and walk you through it. You know, if you're willing to pick something up and you know, you get enjoyment out of figuring things out and stuff, this is the way to go. But I mean, if you want things to work just like they work on Windows, only it's not Windows, this isn't it. I mean, I'm a year in and I don't think I can make it quite as good as Windows, even still. And I mean, maybe 3-4 years in, maybe you could create the same experience for yourself personally, either which way. But I mean, I feel like to gain whatever you feel like you're going to gain on Linux, you're going to have to give some things up. So you have to feel like what you're gaining is more than what you're giving up. And I think you know, I mean, more people need to be willing to try it, because until you try it, you don't know how much you're going to have to give up. You know, some people got to give up a ton of shit. I didn't really have to give up anything at all. I use a web browser and OBS and Steam primarily. You know, I mean, I use, you know, a fair share of other basic things, but I mean, those are the three major things that I use. You know, I wasn't an Adobe user or a, you know, so on and so forth. So, I mean, there's a lot to think about, but I mean, man, it's a minefield out here, the Linux situation. And I feel like I had to put my 2 cents into it. And I think probably this is going to be all that there is for me about Linux. So until the next video that's probably not about Linux, I've been Seven.